Hi, it is February the 16th. I am so excited to have you here with me today at Laura's Stampin' Studio. I'm also known as the Firefly Stamper. And what my desire is to light up one heart at a time. So as you watch this video today, on this fun fold card, as you can see how it is going to be cut specialty, and then it'll sit up on a desk lovely, and on the inside it says you are lovely. So as we work on this card, I hope my desire is that your heart will be lightened, your heart will be encouraged, that you will be inspired to be creative. So let's get started. Hi. The card that we're going to be making, I am going to be using the Art Gallery bundle, which is the stamps, two-step process stamps, as well as the dies that go with it. I'm also going to be using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss folder that is part of the suite. I've also decided that I am going to do a fun fold card today, and so this card goes like this when it, let's do it the right way, sits like this on a tabletop, which is really really cool. And as you see, the inside I have stamped as well. You Are Lovely, which is from the stamp set, One of the Other Flowers, which is from the stamp set, and I've already also splattered it with the blender brush. So to get started, I wanted to talk to you about all the dimensions of the card. So I've taken a piece of cardstock and basically cut it in half. So this measures 11" by 4 1/4 here. I've also cut a piece for the very front of the card, which measures 2 1/2 by 4 1/4. That would be this piece here. And this paper that is a specialty paper that comes with this suite, I've also cut it the same in the same dimension. So it's going to fit right over top of this piece and go on the back of here. I've used glue dots actually to glue it down, and I don't mind the look of those. I don't find they're very noticeable. What's really important is to talk about how to cut this card and where to do the score lines. So here is the pattern, as it were. So I am going to be scoring this sheet of cardstock, this pretty peacock sheet of cardstock. And I'm going to score it at the 4 1/2, and I'm going to score it at 10 inches. I'm not going to do any other scoring until I do my cutting. So the cutting I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around this way, and I'm actually going to be cutting from the 4 1/2" score line down to the 10" score line. You can see that represented by this green line. I'm going in 3/4 inch on either side, and I am going to cut it from this score line down to the 10" mark, 3/4 inch in on both sides. Once I have those cuts made, I'm going to go back in with my scoring tool, and from this is a 4 1/2" mark, this is the 5 1/2" mark when you measure. So this here, 5 1/2, I'm only going to score that piece that I've cut, as you can see right there. I'm also on these outside edges down at the 9 1/2" mark, or an inch up from the score, your 10" score mark. I'm just going to score it on either side. And then when we put all that together, I am going to be bending it here. I'm going to bend these back, and that becomes the base for my card. Isn't that cute? And so that is the pattern for the card. So that is the card that we're going to be making. I will also mention that the side panels on this card that we're making, this little piece here down to those score lines, this piece across the back behind the sentiment, I'll give you those measurements. So I'm going to cut as well a piece that is 5/8 by 4 3/8, which will be embossed, and that is for both sides. So I have 2 of those. I'm also going to cut a piece that is 7/8 by 4 1/8, and that will be embossed, and that goes underneath the sentiment here. I will also cut a piece that is 4 by 4, and that is for the piece on the inside of the card. So let's do this two-step process for the flowers. I've just got some scrap paper here, and I really love the look of the flower on the front of this card. If you can see that, it is actually two colors. So I'm going to be taking the Pretty Peacock color first, and with the Pretty Peacock, I am going to stamp the flower first, and then I'm going to be taking the Garden Green, so the Pretty Peacock first. And this is a, I need a, behind it, we have the clear stamps here, so I need to use this mat behind what I stamp, and that will help with the getting a good stamp. There we go. So I'm going to do the Pretty Peacock, and you'll see this has a painted effect to it, which is really cool. So there's that stamp, and I am going to grab one of my simple chamois for cleaning up the stamp. Give me a second here, didn't have it out, and pull that up, and so there's that one. And then I am going to take the, oh, I did those backwards. All right, we will do it again. I want this stamp. I want the full flower. My mistake. I want the full flower for the Pretty Peacock. So here's my Pretty Peacock ink. I'm going to ink this up. Do you ever make mistakes with the wrong colors or the wrong stamp when you get started? Let's try this again. So here is the Pretty Peacock for the full flower. So the shape that I'm going on top is actually that shape. So there's my flower. Now I'm going to be taking the Garden Green, and with the Garden Green I'm going back with the other shaped flower, and it is going to give those lovely little highlights on the flower. That gives a really nice multi-dimensional look to it. And I've got the Garden Green. So I'm going to go over top of the flower here. And honestly, even though it's pretty easy to line up, if you don't get it lined up exactly, it is actually very forgiving as well. And I'm going to be cutting this out with the dies that come with this set. So there we go. So that is going to lighten up some. And this is what it is going to look like. Can you see the multicolors in that? Isn't that cute? I love the look of this. So that is the two stamp process. And you'll notice that I stamped that on very vanilla. And I'm also going to stamp the leaf, and I will cut those out. I wanted to show you how I did this two-step process because it is one stamp that I used for these two colors. So what I did is I stamped this on a piece of paper, sticky paper actually, and then I took that piece of paper and I cut it out. So here you've got the stamp, and I cut the stems off and the flowers, separated them, and I just kept it in the stamp case after I did it. Then from there, I just stick this onto my paper so that I can stamp my flower in the Pretty Peacock without getting it all over this area. So let me get it put together here. I've got it inked up on my Pretty Peacock. Now I'm going to line it up on the paper and stamp it. So there's my stamp. Oh, I see I got it a little bit, did not get it fully inked. So we're going to be brave and we're going to do it again. And we'll see how it works or whether I've got to flip the page over. So I'm just going to rub that little section there that didn't stamp and pull this up. Oh, it still doesn't want to stamp. All right, we're going to do another thing. We're going to improvise. I've got a aqua brush here. I'm actually going to get some of the ink from the aqua brush or from the stamp pad, and I'm going to put a little bit of ink here, and I am going to actually paint this in to the best of my ability. And if this doesn't work, hey, we'll go to the other side. So here we go. We're doing the aqua brush to fill in that spot, and until you're happy with it. And I think I'm happy with that. So I have just filled it in with the aqua brush, because I'm going to be using this aqua brush. I mentioned I used the blenders, but actually use the aqua brush and get the splatters. So I am going to actually get some more ink on my ink pad. So I'm going to do this. Now there's another way you can actually do this as well, and maybe that's what I'll do to show you. I can grab another block. I'm going to grab a small block. So here's a small block. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to ink the block up. Here we go. So I've got lots of ink on my block. So I'm going to take the ink from my block and I am going to get the water from my brush onto my block. And look, you can see that. See all the ink. I'm loading this up with lots of water. Now, so once I get that, and before I take this off, I'm actually going to take my finger and take the aqua brush and I'm going to splatter. I'm going to splatter the card. That's how I got that look. So I think that's enough splatters for me. Then you just clean up your ink block from there. So that seemed to work fine. I am going to clean up my aqua brush. And the aqua brush, I'm just using my simple chamois and I'm pushing the water out through it and getting all of that ink off my brush so that when I put it away, it'll be good to go for the next time. And I'd say that's clean. So there we go. That's good for the next time. I'll put my aqua brush away. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to pull up this sticky piece, and you can use a Post-it note, whatever you have. And there is my corner. So now I want to make sure that that is dry, and I don't think that's quite dry right there. So I'm going to actually get my heat gun. Give me a moment. I am going to take my heat gun and I'm just going to dry that. This is going to be noisy. And I have two settings. I'm going to put it on the 1 because the 2 is actually for doing the embossing, but 1 will help me dry that piece of paper because I'm putting paper over top of it. So I don't want to be wet when I do that. Make sure that is dry. There we go. And that is done. Put my heat gun away. I've gotten in the habit actually of when I do use different tools, I try to put them away right away. You can see I've used this piece of paper before with different colors. So I am now going to line that up here like that. I am going to get my stamp, which has disappeared on me. Here it is. I'm going to make sure my stamp is clean as I reload it now with the garden green. I'm just cleaning up my stamp from when I used it with doing the flower. There we go. So that has been cleaned. I'm just going to stamp it off to make sure it is clean. There we go. So now I'm taking my garden green. I'm going to just load up the stamp, and I usually just try to load the bottom, the section that I'm going to be using. So it's you can see here through that I've got some of the flower as well, which will not show because I've got the paper on there. That's why you see it double stamped. Then I'm going to line this up with the paper and say like that. And I'm going to have my stamp. There we go, all done. Now I'm going to pull this piece of paper up very gently. There we go. Oh, that worked out beautifully. So all I have left to do is to stamp the sentiment. I'm going to put these pieces I've used, I just stick them on the inside of my stamp set so I can reuse them as long as they're sticky. I am going to close up these stamp pads. I try to keep them closed because I don't want them to dry out. I want them to last as long as possible. I'm going to use my Memento, and I am going to just clean up my stamp that I used, and I am going to put this away. I find if I don't put away my stamps right away, I have a tendency to lose track of them. I don't know if you're like that or not, but I'm certainly like that. Now I am going to get a block. Let me see, what size block do I need? I think that this block might work. And I'm going to put "You Are Lovely" on the card. So I'm going to find the "You Are Lovely." You Are Lovely. Here it is. And we're going to see, actually, I think I can use a different block. I think this one will work. Wasn't sure. I thought it might be too big for it. So "You Are Lovely." I'm just going to put it on here. Turn it around to see how straight it is. I'm not sure how you do your stamps. I usually like to start off somewhat straight. And then if I need to do changes, I will. I'm going to ink up with Memento. And make sure it's all lovely, "You Are Lovely" is fully inked. And I'm going to put that right here. Try to get it straight, no guarantees. And sometimes I'll actually do a cut out something to put it on so that I can make sure I get it straight. There you go, "You Are Lovely." And that is the inside of the card completed. We'll move on to assembling the card next. For the sentiment on the front of this card, I've used the Celebration Heal Your Heart set. I love the thank you on this set. I find I love the look of it, and it has some substance to it. So you can see here how I've used it on the front, and I've gone ahead and stamped that set, and I'll now assemble the card. So we're going to use, I'm just going to use glue on the back of the sentiment, and here we go. Now my glue is going to come. I didn't have it setting upside down, which sometimes I do because it helps it to be ready to use. And so I'm just going to center this on the garden green cardstock paper that I have cut out the matching sentiment, and this is from So Sentimental, I want to say, but I will put that out for you on my, I'll make a note to me. Oh, here we go. I just called Stitch So Sweetly. There you go. Stitch So Sweetly are the dies I use to cut out the front of this, and they're actually the dies that match the So Sentimental. I use this set a lot. So those are the dies that I used. Now we are going to adhere this lovely Specialty Designer Series paper that's gold on one side, silver on the other. And I'm just going to use glue dots. And I found that I did not mind those at all for behind the, just grabbing my tools. I didn't mind those at all. I didn't find they really showed up. You could actually place it more behind the flower if you wish. But I didn't mind where I had placed them, and so there's one. So if you want to, but I like the, I did try to make sure I at least put them behind where the design was on the paper. And of course at the bottom, it's not going to matter because on the bottom is going to be behind the sentiment. And I'm going to put one here, so it's going to help it to be hidden a little bit. I guess it depends on how particular you are as well. Whoops, thought I had one. And it went back to the paper. So you just pick it up with your, I'm going to put one down here, pick up another. Here we go. Oh, I'm having troubles today. And one down here. So I am just going to be putting in, if there's a design in yours and you have a top or bottom preference, make sure you take that into consideration. Here we go. Just going to line that up. And that is ready to roll. So I'm just going to be adhering that to this center piece of the card, as you remember how it was all cut. And I'm centering that to putting that on the center. So I'm just going to use the glue. It's the cardstock to cardstock. It'll work really fine. So here we go. And I think I want to go in this direction. So I'm putting it below the score line. There we go, and trying to get somewhat the same borders. Whoops, on either side. Whoops, don't you love the whoops? All right, so somewhere's near the same. There we go. Now, I've gone ahead and used my embossing folder that comes with the art gallery set. I love the texture. I don't know if you can see this texture on the camera. And as I said, I gave you the dimensions for all those cuts that I put on the top. This particular piece that's embossed, that's going to go down here. That is 7/8 by 4 1/8. So I'm going to adhere that. And again, I'm just going to be using some of the glue to put that down. So here we go. And that is just going to, it has a little edge all the way around. Then the other two pieces that go along either side up here to this score mark are 5/8 by 4 3/8. And they've been embossed as well. So I'm going to adhere those. And don't really think there is an up or a down on these. I think both sides look pretty good. So we're good. Some of the embossing folders, they really do, you've got to be careful because they do have an upside downside. And but I just find with this one, it doesn't seem to make a lot of difference. So this here is going this way. So from this score line, that 4.5 score line, is where it's going to get matched up to the score line here, which is along the side. And then I'm going to take my other piece and I am going to put glue on it and adhere that. And again, I'm going at this 4.5 inch mark. There we go. Then I am going to use dimensionals to put the flower on. So I have some dimensionals here, and the dimensionals will go on the back, of course. That gives it a more of a 3D. This card is very much 3D anyway, so that gives it very much a 3D. I think I'll use the smaller ones for the leaf. So I have these small dimensionals that I'm going to use. And I'm going to put one here, one here. And it's nice too because the stem is actually going behind the sentiment, which is makes it great because you don't have to worry so much. And the stem here is going to go behind the flower. So I'm going to, when I do this, as you know, this is going to pop out this way, like this. So when I put the flower on, I'll keep all that in mind. And I think I'll put this part of the flower, the bloom, on first, and then I'm going to put the stem on. So here's the bloom, and I think I want that about there. I'm going to put that down so that when I put the stem on, I'll flip it up underneath the flower. And we will, so there we go. Pretty forgiving. I'm going to put one of the stems underneath and then one over top. There we go. So with this here, I am going to use the, put sentiments on, the sentiment on with dimensionals. And I'm going to make sure I just put them across the bottom because this is going to rotate up. So I want to make sure that when I put this on, I want them from there down on the sentiment. So I am going to get some of these and make sure I've got, so this is the So I want them on the bottom here. So there's 1, there's 2, and I think I will use 3. And I'm going to use my pick tool, which I love, to pull off the backs of my dimensionals. And then this is going to go centered here. And there we have our outside of our card. Isn't that beautiful? And then I'm going to flip on the inside. And on the inside, I am going to glue the piece that we did for the inside down. Do that right now. And I like using glue. Sometimes I kind of get on a rage and I'll use the Stampin' Seal. But I find that when I'm putting some of these pieces on, I like the forgiveness that the glue gives me. And so we're going to just put that like that. And voila, our card is completed. So there we go. Thank you card. Completed with the art gallery set. I also, as I mentioned, use for the die cutouts, I use the Stitch So Sweetly dies. I also, for cutting out the flower, use the floral gallery dies, and I am actually going to put on the gold gems on the front of this as well. And if I can find them quickly, I can do that while we're still on camera, because I did not have them pulled out. Here we are. These are called Gilded Gems. This is a Gilded Gems, and I'm going to take 3 of these and I'm going to put them on the front of the card. Now again, I tend to use my pick tool when I put these gems on. I'm going to use the, I think I'll use the putty end. So there's a putty end on this, which is perfect for picking up the gems. So I am going to put 1 here. And I think I'll put a larger one. Take one of the larger ones. And I'm going to put a larger one there. And then I'm going to take a medium one. And where shall we put it? We shall put it there. There we go. It is completed. I hope you've enjoyed this class. I hope it inspires you. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I will also put together a PDF instruction file for this card. And again, thank you so much for joining me today at, I'm known as the Firefly Stamper.